Some velvet morning when I'm straight, I'm gonna open up your gate and maybe tell you about Phaedra and how she gave me life and how she made it in some velvet morning when I'm straight.
Flowers are the things we know. Secrets are the things we grow. Learn from us very much. Look at us, but do not touch. Phaedra is my name.
It's a capital day for a YouTube video, don't you think? My first one especially. But I figured now's as good a time as any. Those of you who are in the loop might know that I've been wanting to do something like this for years. How many years you've known me depends on how many years you think I've been wanting to do this. It's been 7.5 years since I created this channel, Androgyny, and never did anything with it. Because right about the time that I did, well, I did it when I came out. We'll get to that later. And right about that time, my life just totally went to shit. I mean, this shit show that I call life is always a shit show, but sometimes it's shittier than others. And I'm really slogging through it. And in the last week, I've probably cried more than I've cried in, well, I guess since I began my clinical side of my transition. Which is no big deal, I guess. But then I came home to my marvelous camp, which I'm so proud of, to find it pretty much destroyed by wind. I kind of like started to piece it back together, and then we just like knocked it back over again to add insult to injury, just hours later. And I came up here to work on it, and just went, fuck it. So yeah. Welcome to the no fucks given episode of Androgyny. I'm just gonna throw shit out there that you may or may not understand the reference to. I'm not really gonna try to explain anything too deeply. I'll just do that later. I guess I'll start with a little background. So Androgyny, the reason I called the channel Androgyny was because 7.5 years ago, or such, whatever, I thought there was an appalling lack of information on the androgyne category of subcategory of the transgender umbrella. And I've sort of wibble-wobbled all over the so-called gender spectrum-ish since coming out. But the more I've come to understand gender, the less meaningful I believe it's become. So let's just not even really talk about that at the moment. If any of you have any idea what it means when I say that I'm femandro, great. So yeah, no fucks given. So in the last 7.5 years, of course, there's been tons of videos, some good, some crappy. appearing on YouTube about all this shit. And so really I don't feel the need to do androgyny as I originally had intended, where I had like a list of topics and stuff. I mean, it's all pretty much been covered. But then again, it occurs to me as I watch videos now that a lot of the same topics are being covered. Like things just get rehashed like over and over and over and over, and over like in cycles. So I don't know if I did do what I'd planned on originally doing, if it would have like still have any relevance to somebody, um, or more than somebody. I don't know, because I give no shits. So um, on the other hand, uh, I've sort of just gone back to androgyne. I consider myself to be a trans woman. Also, I mean, you know, I don't really give a fuck about labels or boxes at all. Um, but unfortunately, I found that you need them sometimes because otherwise people have a hard time trying to wrap their brain around stuff. One of the things that people have a hard time wrapping their brain around, including myself, is that I'm a convert to, I'll just call it the doctrine of determinism. As someone who considers themselves to be very free-spirited and can't fucking stand people telling me what to do, free will has always been like a big, of course there's free will. It just makes no fucking sense to believe there isn't. However, as of late, I really don't believe there is anymore. And until somebody can enlighten me otherwise, I'm sticking with it. And I'll probably do a whole episode on why I'm a determinist. The two foundational aspects, I think, of what goes on in my head in terms of what I want this channel to be and how it relates to my life, or how my life relates to this channel and how this channel relates to the universe, is two concepts: Phaedra 101 and Project Phaedra. Does it sound narcissistic? Good, because it is. I'm nothing if not vain. I should just make that clear now. No fucks given. So, Phaedra 101 was a list that I made a while back, just before I went on hormones, and it was sort of imagined as a list of self-schema. I somehow stumbled on this idea in my research on the internet, and I started thinking about the ways I think about myself, and what labels do I self-apply? Are they good labels? Are they bad labels? Are these labels serving me anymore, or should I discard them? Should I keep them? Are they incorrect? One self-label that is very misleading for me is lazy. Like, yeah, I mean, in some sense, I've always felt like a very lazy person. Who the fuck likes to work? But at the same time, when you see the videos of this camp and the fact that almost all of this stuff until recently I was hauling out here on my back, just for shits and giggles, I'm obviously not lazy, and especially because there's no profit in it, so it's really hard to sort of, go either way on that one. So I discarded the lazy self schema because it just doesn't exactly fit. It's not, or I have to rethink my idea of what lazy is. Am I lazy when I'm doing work for other people for shit profit? You betcha. No shit's given. And if I'm doing something for myself for absolutely no profit whatsoever, other than my own happiness, do I work as hard as fuck? You betcha. But be that as it may, one of the most important parts of both of these, and something that these two concepts were built on, but not really ever explained within the two, was that as I struggled to conceive of myself as Phaedra and who Phaedra would be and what I wanted to be versus what I was, I decided that it was just too daunting to try to completely reinvent myself ahead of time. Although this isn't my first transition, but we'll get to that later. Uh, and the only thing I really could do to really make the most possible change was to put honesty, and like full disclosure honesty, brutal honesty, especially of the self-honesty, self-aware type, um, like front and center of everything. And alongside that, in my personal mythology, let's say, I sort of proclaimed in Phaedra land that I was going to issue a tabula rasa for everyone that I knew, including myself. So I was gonna not necessarily just pretend like I haven't done shitty things in the past. Or, it's not like I was an all bad person or anything like that. But I wasn't all good. And if I really want to be, honest, brutally honest, uh, I think I was really shitty. Um, and in fact, I don't know, it may be too complex psychologically for me to actually get into right now. Not that I have any time frame, but it's about 7:45, I'm guessing, in the evening. And so really my only consideration is light fading. But um, who knows how long I'll ramble. Uh, so yeah, tabula rasa. In other words, I was going to forget everything that I knew about everyone I knew, and forget everything I knew about myself, or thought I knew about everybody and myself. And therefore, people who say owed me money or whatever, um, I was just gonna fuck it. Who cares? No fucks. And so yeah, I mean that's basically what I did, and uh, everything seemed to be going great. I mean, honestly, uh, one of my favorite bits of Phaedra 101, these lists of self schemas or ideas about who I wanted to be, was to abandon the paradigm of the mastermind manipulator and relinquish the illusion of control of my life. I often joke that my boss is destiny. And once I did that, things started clicking in a way like they've never clicked before. It was almost uncanny. In fact, as I was getting my blood work done one day, I was chatting away at my phlebotomist, and I said to her that I felt like my life was blessed. This was, I think, around Christmas time. I hadn't been on hormones for very long. Or no. Yeah, he was about right. And I don't know, so maybe I was just in the holiday spirit or whatever. And considering I'm an atheist, it might be kind of funny or shocking that Christmas is my favorite holiday, if you want to call it that. But every day is a holiday when you give no fucks and you just stop working, live off food stamps, and build a camp in the open desert, which is obviously what I did. And I have tons of hours of footage of me doing this that I've saved because I wanted to sort of keep a record of it, really just for my friends, which is what this channel really has become more about, or is evolving out of. Because as one of my New Year's resolutions last year, which I didn't get all the way through because I had 12 of them, was to start pen paling people. It didn't happen because things got really, really, really seriously messed up. And there'll be a lot about that. In fact, concurrent with this YouTube channel, I'm going to be doing a blog and a podcast, because why the fuck not? And so I'll probably devote the blog to writing about specific things about Project Phaedra, and a lot, things that I throw out, in my YouTube videos that I don't actually ever get around to explaining, or I'll address anything that anybody having to watch has questions about, as opposed to doing a live stream and fielding questions or whatever. At least for now. And so, and then the podcast is actually going to be called Phaedra's High Desert Transgender Blues, and it's going to be, sort of a narrative of the sordid tale of how I came to be back in the high desert, why here, why then and now and whatever, and why it's the blues. I almost gave up on it because for a moment there were no blues, and things were just, the future was so bright I had to wear shades, like right now. But actually, right now, it wouldn't be exactly correct to say this is rock bottom for me, but yeah, this is probably, as objectively as I can be, one of the lowest moments in my life, I guess, in the sense that I'm the saddest. And the sadness is actually very selfish. I think, I don't have to be sad. Everything that I'm sad about at this exact moment, I brought about upon myself, willingly, knowingly, and with full consciousness of the fact that it would probably make me sad. And so that doesn't change the fact that it's a low point. I tend to describe my life as blessed, to describe myself as happier than I've ever been before. And so this doesn't really qualify as rock bottom, although maybe it kind of does. Because honestly, ladies and gentlemen, rock bottom is a place that I've signed my fucking name to so many times. I mean, it's all over the walls, okay? It's just all over the fucking place. And, I might be like dipping my toe in that little dungeon of the mind right now. But I firmly believe that nothing is really good or bad except thinking makes it so. And so, of course, I'm not just going to deconstruct the whole notion of what rock bottom is right here, but right now anyway. But yeah, pretty low point. It makes me think that I really need to simplify things. My tendency to make things harder than they have to be just because they're more pretty, or I don't know. I mean, this camp has gotten out of hand and I love it. I don't care. Like, I want it to be a village. Like, I wanted all my friends to move here and live with me. I guess, I don't know. If I build it, they will come. But it's actually been pretty handy with this whole virus thing. I mean, I've got tons of food stocked up, and I pretty much give no fucks about the virus whatsoever. What I do give fucks about is the idea that our government may enforce mandatory inoculation and shoot us up with God knows what. So I'd be very, very happy to just catch the fucking thing and either die or get over it, and just be like, thank you, thank you, thank you, but I've got my own antibodies, thank you, thank you. No, really, keep your fucking drugs. But who knows if it'll get to that. But with who in office, anything's possible, really. Okay, so yeah, back to Phaedra 101. So, relinquishing the illusion of control, determinism. That was kind of a big deal. Another one is that it still kind of surprises me when I think about it to this day, but it did actually happen. I wrote Phaedra is a brand. Now, I don't think I'd really actually I don't know where I got that idea exactly, but just that, like selling yourself um, is something that everybody tries to do, at some point or another. Whether you're an influencer on YouTube, or whether you're on your first date, or whether you're interviewing for a job, um, you know, people are constantly trying to sell themselves to people. Some people always try to put their best foot forward. Uh, some people give no fucks. Um, some people strike a balance. Balance is one thing that I've never been any good at whatsoever. And so there are tons of people out there who have the highest opinion of me. And I'm flattered and eternally grateful for those people who've had faith in me, because it's very rare that I have faith in myself. Even now, at my happiness, I don't really know where this is all going. I do have to trust in the fact that there's nothing I can do about it. That's what being a determinist kind of is. Um, what's meant to happen is going to happen. And when I say it's meant to happen, I don't mean that there's a karmic uh, law, like a divine sense of justice, impersonal justice that just somehow exists in the galaxy, like the Force from Star Wars, and uh, corrects the balance of good and bad. Because what did I say? Good and bad. It's all up to here. So, um, but in practice, like in my daily lived experience, I talk about karma all the time. Um, Same thing with like astrology. I don't really believe in astrology, but I'll be like, bitch is a Scorpio, no fucking wonder. Or I read the tarot. So I think I do it for fun, really. But the weird thing is, the cards never lie. So I don't know. I don't really believe in it, and yet I believe in it. It makes no sense. It doesn't happen. It have to, because we pretty much live in an absurd universe. At least I think so. So, yeah, the brand. A lot of Phaedra 101, especially the very first sort of list of Phaedra is that I made, said a lot more about Seth than it did about me. One of them was Phaedra is a predator, predator pretending to be prey. And I give no fucks about being a predator anymore, honestly. I try my hardest to be humble, but as certain people, especially one or two individuals, will tell you, that's definitely not the case. And it's hard. Like, my inner vanity just doesn't let me be humble. I do think I'm the smartest person when I walk into a room almost every time, and I'm pretty sure almost every time I'm right. I love being wrong, though. I don't care about being the smartest person in the room, because it means I'm in a pretty fucking boring place, and there's nobody to talk to if I'm the smartest person in the room. So forgive me for saying so and tooting my own horn, but it's not exactly like it's a great thing. Let's see. If anyone, is there anything else I want to say about it? I'm gonna publish what I have so far as Phaedra 101 is concerned in the blog, for sure. I've already got that started, and so let's talk a little bit about Project Phaedra. Project Phaedra was sort of like a running personal joke, like an inside joke with myself, in a way. It was partly born out of this sort of admiration for Tommy Clinton, who is the director of the Transgender Health and Wellness Center in Cathedral City, where my life as Phaedra more or less began, and and the organization she created. I was just like, uh, you know, I want to do good in the world and devote myself to something higher than me. And uh, you know, living is giving. Sounds cheesy, but honestly, early in those days, when everything was just going swimmingly, and I really felt my life was blessed, and bad things hadn't happened yet. Um, it just it just makes my life better. Um, it makes me feel not so bad about being a narcissistic cunt if I'm helping old ladies cross the street, which I literally done, uh, because nobody's perfect, Um, I've being done with the mastermind manipulator paradigm also means being done trying to understand everything. I've always fancied myself this great philosopher, which I'm not. I'm a total hack, but um, I'm pretty convincing at it. And um, I just give no fucks anymore about understanding things because when things are going wrong and you're trying to understand them, uh, you have to realize that if you didn't, if you had to think about, you have to be self-aware enough to realize that the problem happened, whether you understood, you know, if you understand it after the fact, it's just too goddamn late, So, um, and unlocking the secrets of the universe and eternal truths. I mean, give me a break. Um, I love that shit, I do, but um, none of that really means a whole lot in daily lived experience. I'll probably use that catchphrase quite a bit. Um, and so I'm just here to help. Really, that's all I want to do. And um, so Project Phaedra started out. So I started thinking of Project Phaedra, as this imaginary uh, not-for-profit, and it was also the project of becoming, I guess you'd say, you know, becoming Phaedra after being Seth, whatever that means, um, epistemologically. Uh, it's just sort of like, or ontologically. I mean, like, it's project, whereas um, Phaedra 101 was sort of the basis for like what I am and or wanted to be. Project Phaedra is more like the what I do. It's the more existential side of uh, daily lived experience. Yeah, it's you are what you do, not necessarily what you think, I guess. Um, but I don't even know if I agree with that kind of existentialist crap. Um, I I had a bit of an existential crisis, right before I discovered the Trans Health and Wellness Center and got on hormones and all that jazz. And I hate to say that, just as almost as much as I hate to say my life is blessed, because I'm such an atheist, and because I just, whenever I think of existentialism, I think of like the most like dumbass of the dark poets I've ever met, in college and high school, the ones who like wear all black and turtlenecks, and they sit in the back of some coffee shop smoking closed cigarettes and scribbling in a journal and you know being all mysterious and you know, being hipsters about shit. I burned the roof of my mouth because I ate my pizza before it was cool. So, um, that's why I named the blog Project Phaedra. It's on Facebook. You know, when I publish this video, it's going to be all over my Facebook. And so, you know, everybody, whether you watch the YouTube or whether you get to the blog first, you're going to know about what else is going on. So travel on down there and check it out. Um, I when I first came up with this idea to do a YouTube channel, it was really not even about androgyny as sort of a gender identity category. It was the fact that I had just gotten this bitchin' Samsung Galaxy Note 2 phone that had like the biggest screen that had ever been used at the time, and God, I fucking love that thing. Um, and I wanted to use it for something that was, more than checking my emails. And I just, I couldn't, trying to think of like what I'm passionate about, and uh, having just come out, I mean, that was really what I was passionate about. So it's really the only thing I could think of at the time that I might be able to sort of carve a niche out of. Nowadays, I find the fact that I'm trans to be probably the least interesting thing about me. So it's not really, like I think I said earlier, it's not really the focus of like what I want any of these things to be about per se. Although, and I think that in the High Desert Blues, that's where I'm probably going to like delve into a lot more of the current issues in the trans discourse. One part of Phaedra 101 was I wrote that I wanted to like be busy about the task of rewriting the mainstream narrative of the trans experience. You know, we're not all women trapped in a man's body, or men trapped in women's bodies, or that wrong body narrative, I guess, might apply to some people, but um, I honestly I don't think I know any. Truth be told, um, but it's a very compelling narrative, and it's one that's easy to digest. Especially like Caitlyn Jenner, I believe, sort of had that narrative going on and was very, very, ubiquitous on TV and whatever media outlets, platforms and such, um, when She Transit came out. And so that kind of got ingrained in a lot of people's brains, the issue of sort of Anglocentrism in the trans movement, stems a lot from that too. I mean, I'm in that boat, even though I don't really feel like I know, and I know a lot of other men, white guys like me, or born male but like it, the cis contingent, um, don't really feel like male privilege. I've never. What privilege do I have? You know, my life sucks. Like, how am I privileged being white or male or whatever? And you just means you don't have the awareness to see it. Um, it took me a while. Don't get me wrong. I'm not on a high horse like, ha ha ha. I'm so down with the black kids, because I'm not. Uh, that these and other topics to be continued on my podcast. Um, which I'm gonna use the most retarded. No, I'm not gonna go there. Look up differential ontology. So, moving along as I lose the light. I guess this episode is pretty stupid and lame, but I've just got to start doing it, because if I don't, I'll never stop. The hardest part of any project is the getting started. I've just got to start moving my feet, one in front of the other, because otherwise I'm just gonna keep fucking procrastinating the shit, and it's never gonna get done. And you know, the only way I'm gonna do that is to give no fucks. I know you're saying that, but no fucks given. I don't give a fuck about this shit. I really don't. I don't give a fuck what you think of it, what anybody else thinks of it, or even what I think of it. I'm gonna hate it, honestly. Um, but it's just got to be done so that I can get it out there. And because I have actually, I've been doing a lot of the legwork, background stuff, procrastinating, not actually, ever getting around to making the first episode. Um, it's once I get the momentum going, I don't think it's going to be that hard. So, um, what else? Phaedra 101, Project Phaedra. I think that's pretty much all I need to cover. So I'm going to pause for a moment.